Hi, my name is Alex Goldklang, and for my final project, I did a documentary to look inside the way that males and females, gay or straight, bisexual or not, go into looking for relationships, the kind of partners that they look for, and the expectations that they have for being in a relationship at this age, especially being a college student, and especially in the Miami metropolitan area. Each person was selected based on something specific, whether it be relationship history, upbringing, newfound perspectives, or newfound influences. The subjects were meant to be mixed in sexuality as well as gender, and meant to come from different backgrounds and many different points of view when it comes to relationships, relationship styles, and specific gender roles. Some of the clips were altered for privacy reasons, in which case in the conclusion there will be discussion about some questions that weren't viewed in specific interviews. Some of the questions that were asked were pre-selected, although some additional questions were asked in different interviews depending on the flow, just to probe a little bit more into the topic. The initial questions were as follows. How do you go about finding romantic partners? Where do you look? What are the basic qualities you do look for in a romantic partner? In your own words, based off of your experiences, how do you define being with someone? Have you ever had an experience or a fantasy/thought about the same sex? Or, if gay, the opposite sex? Do you think that the male-female hetero model of a masculine man and a feminine woman imposed by society dictates your relationship styles and the qualities you look for? How do you think it is for either the gay, straight, or bisexual community, and how do you think it is for them to date as well as develop relationships, both in the Miami area and on campus? What is it like being a college student while trying to find your romantic other? They always encourage us to look for our husband or wives in these next 4 years. Do we find that to be a reality? When appropriate, I asked about dating and relationships in frats or sororities and how they viewed that complicated or queered dating on a college campus. Then there were some fun questions asked just to understand our similarities and differences in sexuality and our little sexual sides. I asked things like their favorite sex position, their ideal date, a dream man or woman, secret vices while dating or in having intercourse or in a relationship, a crazy relationship story, whether it be from dating or someone that you had just a sexual interaction with, and then any other information that you feel could add to this topic. I hope you enjoy my project.
My name is Kate. I'm from Milford, New Jersey. I'm a senior at the University of Miami. I'm single and I'm straight.
What basic qualities do you look for in a romantic partner?
Someone who can make me laugh and that I can feel comfortable with. Someone that I'm really at ease. A person that I can bring around my friends.
Anything physical?
A good smile and a nice body. Important.
So how do you go about finding these guys? Like, where do you look?
Well, I don't think I necessarily look for them, but if I come across a guy that I'm attracted to out, let's say at a bar, at a party, any type of social situation, I find myself attracted to certain guys, but the guys that I end up actually being with are the guys that are friends of friends.
Do you feel that Miami is a conducive campus environment to the kind of relationship you want?
No.
Elaborate.
Our university culture doesn't really support relationships. There are so many people on campus and off campus that may appeal to the guys in this environment that are, these women might be more enticing or more attractive, and I think guys have this mentality of like never settle, and there's always going to be something better just beyond the person that you're with. And I think that the overstimulation of women in the Miami environment kind of prohibits any type of relationship.
In your own words, based off of experience and friends' experiences, what constitutes someone being with someone?
Someone that you are in regular communication with and spend a lot of your time with. Someone that you have like a steady correspondence with. And
what kind of things do you think change like in between a man and a woman when like they're past the initial stage?
There's no show anymore. The person can just come over to their apartment or their place, and there's no production, there's no like entertainment. It's just, you know, them together living their lives, you know, whether it be watching TV, hanging out, having a meal.
Have you ever had an experience or a fantasy about the same sex?
I've made out with girls before, but when I was drunk, and not out of like my own passion. It was more like we were drunk and, you know, maybe for shock value.
Okay. Do you think that the hetero model of a masculine man and a feminine woman dictates your relationship styles and like the qualities you look for in a man?
Like, do I look for a...
Do you think that...
a manly man?
Yeah, like, do you think that those stereotypes out there somehow have affected the kind of relationship you want and with the person that you'd have it with?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that, like, I'm in any position to, like, step away from, like, what I'm attracted to and say, like, this person fits this particular stereotype. Because I think a lot of time when I'm attracted to someone, I don't know why necessarily. It's just, like, a lot of, like, really small factors that lead to the attraction. So I wouldn't say that any of the guys that I've had feelings for have, like, a pattern that I would say fit a stereotype. They're all kind of from different backgrounds, or I don't know, even like physical appearances.
Okay. So how do you think it is for the gay and bisexual community on our campus to go through the same things you go through as a straight female?
I think that it's probably easier for them in our environment to kind of test the waters, so to speak, because people are more into experimenting and spreading themselves thin. So, you know, it would be a lot more casual of an experience for someone to experiment with their sexuality down here, because people aren't looking for lasting relationships. So no one would take it like so seriously to, you know, say if they hook up with a girl, oh, I'm a lesbian, or, you know, if a guy were to hook up with a guy, like, oh, I'm gay. I think that everyone's just down here experimenting and,
what about things for the gay and bisexual people who are looking for relationships? How do you think it is for them to go in the dating process?
I think if anyone is looking to date in Miami, it's a difficult situation.
Okay. What's it like being a college student while trying to find someone? You know, they tell us in these 4 years you can meet your husband or your wife, but in reality we have a lot of things to juggle. So how do you think it affects and plays into...
I think that it's extremely complicated to kind of find your place with someone when you are still trying to figure out yourself. There's a lot of things up in the air when you're going through college. You know, you're taking different classes every semester, your schedule's constantly changing. You know, even within the 4 months or 4.5 months of being in a semester, you know, there's a spring break, and then there's different social functions. There's no real consistency, and I think that makes it hard as you're trying to grow, and this person with a completely different schedule is trying to grow as well. It brings up a lot of conflicts.
What do you think being in a sorority has done with dating? Do you see it that it helps people, hurts people?
I think there's a lot of date functions with being in a sorority. For instance, there's a semi-formal in the fall semester and a formal in the spring semester, and they often expect you to bring a date, typically male, although I'm sure if you were gay, you could bring a woman if you'd like. And yeah, so I mean, I think that it enables you to kind of have a date and, maybe initiate that type of relationship with someone just for the purpose of bringing someone. But the other social functions where we interact with guys, it's just like drunken, like craziness. Like it's not like you're getting to know someone, or like, I feel like I meet the same guys every single time I go to these parties. There's nothing lasting, Do
you feel like when people in general, regardless of Greek life, when they're out and they're drunk, it pretty much just means hooking up?
When you're out and you're drunk, you're just hooking up, and chances are if you see them on campus even like a week later, if not like the next couple of days, the couple of days after the hookup, you probably won't acknowledge each other, or if you do, it's just like a hello or a weak smile. It doesn't, just because you've hooked up doesn't mean that now you're even acquaintances.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to some fun questions. Fun, sorry.
Fun, okay.
And if at any point you feel uncomfortable, just let me know.
Okay.
What is your favorite sex position?
Missionary.
Interesting. What would be an ideal date that would let you know that this is worth trying again with someone?
My ideal date, I guess going to like a live show. I've been to like live reggae shows at home, and there's like families and friends. They kind of like set up blankets and have a picnic and like listen to live music. And so like you have the ability to step away from the stage and have a conversation, but then you can like go and dance and like vibe with people as you get closer to the stage. So, like if things get awkward, you're like, oh, let's go dance, or if like you kind of like hit a spark, you can like kind of step away.
My name is Justin Berger. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm single and I'm straight.
Okay. So what basic qualities do you look for in a romantic partner?
Other than looks, or?
Both, everything.
I like a smart, funny, sort of conservative woman. I don't like a girl that puts herself out there. I also don't like girls that are all full of themselves. Mostly I don't like girls from Miami. I try to stay away from that. But I mean, I find somebody that loves me for who I am, not for what I look like, what I drive, where I live, just what's inside, not what's on the outside.
So is that what you look for in girls?
I mean, money's not an issue for me. Looks, I mean, I range it not on looks, but based on personality. I mean, looks are just a plus.
Okay. How do you go about finding the girls like that you just described to me? What places do you look?
I don't. The way I really do my thing is, if it comes to me and it happens, that's just the way it is. I don't really go out and look. But are you talking about looking for a partner?
Well, I'm just saying, when you're out, like, do you go out with the intentions of finding someone or hoping to find someone? And if you do, where do you do that?
I mean,
what about bars?
If I do go out, I used to go to nightclubs, because I used to work in nightclubs. Mostly just, bars, yeah.
Okay. Do you, as someone who graduated not too long ago, do you feel like campus environments are conducive to finding people that you want to date, especially a girl you were describing?
Do I want to date a girl in college?
No, I'm just saying that Do you think being a college student and in the world that the college creates, is it easier, harder?
It's probably easier. You have a wider selection of people to choose from that are in a small place together. Maybe a huge college, but you're still all stuck in the same area. You don't have to really go out anywhere.
Okay. In your own words, based off of your experiences, what do you think it constitutes when you're with someone? When you're like more than just, oh, I met you and had a couple dates.
Really being with someone is vibing with that person individually. It's two of you are on the same page all the time. You go out all the time. You're mostly together most of the week. I mean, people who aren't really together, tend to see each other maybe every couple days, during the week or whatever it is. But usually when you see someone, you're seeing somebody, you like to see that person every day, not just once a week or twice a week.
What do you think changes between you and your partner when you cross that line?
Things just start getting more serious. In most relationships that I've had and that I've seen, people start to pick out the other's flaws, and that sort of ruins things really quick. But probably just staying positive and trying to find out more about that person is probably the right way to go.
Okay. Now we're gonna switch it up a little. Have you ever had an experience or fantasy about the same sex?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Do you find that there's things that you notice in guys that you don't find in girls?
No.
Not even just on a physical level. It could be emotional or no.
No.
So everything is cut off for you when it comes to guys.
Yeah, I'm not really attracted to guys.
But even just connected to them. It could be, I'm talking even on the platonic level.
Oh, like a brotherly love sort of thing?
Sure.
I mean, I have my friends who I'm a lot closer with, but I mean, those are like my brothers. I could say that they're family. Other than that, it doesn't really go any further.
Do you think that the hetero model of a relationship, meaning like a masculine man and a girly girl, somehow dictates the relationship you want and the qualities you look for?
Not at all. Actually, what's funny is I'm actually attracted to more athletic women, people who like to keep in shape like me. I like girls that are very, very physical rather than being all dolled up. I mean, you can have a girl that you can use as arm candy, or you can show off a girl's personality rather than show off her exterior.
And what about typical gender roles, saying like that men have to make more money or
Not
the
at
women
all.
are in the kitchen?
Not at all. I can sit in the kitchen and bake 24/7 and not have a problem with that. And a woman can go make as much money as she wants. It's, as long as the person's happy. It's pretty much the way I work.
Okay. How do you think it is for gay and bisexual people to go through the same dating experiences and process as you?
I mean, in a broad perspective, people, see everything a lot differently in those eyes. I see it as two people who love each other to death going out on a date like two normal people should. There's nothing different.
Do you think, whether it be in college or in Miami, it's easier or harder for them?
I think because we have a pretty pro gay community, it's probably a little easier here. We have designated beaches if they want to go to that beach. We have bars all over the place. Miami's a very influential, open place to be and to live. So I could say it's easier, but I've really never experienced it anywhere else here. Or I mean, in the United States, so I don't really know.
What was it like being a college student and also trying to, find someone, date, meet the right girl?
I mean, between work and school, there really wasn't a lot of time for that. When I started flopping jobs a lot, when I went from this to that, and I got more in the club scene, it was just a little easier. Because, I mean, you're pretty much out there having a good time, making money. You can also talk to women nonstop. So I had one girlfriend during college, and that lasted a year.
Do you think, when someone tells you in the next 4 years you can meet your future husband or wife, do you feel like that's really not true?
I mean, anything can happen. It's just the way life works. I mean, you get the hand you're dealt with. I mean, anything's possible.
Okay. And
my name is Steph. I'm a senior at UM. I'm from Tampa, and I'm straight and single.
okay. What basic qualities do you look for in a romantic partner?
Well, as of lately, my taste in men has kind of changed. I'm looking for an older man, a couple years older, already graduated from college, has been in his career for a couple years, a couple months already. Just basically a good head on his shoulders and someone who can provide for me and kind of help me out at this stage in my life where I'm not really sure like what path I'm going down.
You say as of recently. Why?
I just kind of realized at UM that a lot of college men or boys are kind of immature, you know. And I mean, I don't really blame them. Like, this is their time to just kind of like kick it and, you know, be single. I feel like a man can't really get serious and be ready to fully commit and settle down until he has his career figured out.
How have you, as of recently, started going about finding the men that you want? Where do you look?
I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I'm not going to find anyone in college, so I mean, I'm just pretty much having a good time now. Like, you know, I just have casual hookups, and I'm not really looking for a relationship anymore because I'm graduating, and I'm not really sure where I'm going to be at.
Where do you go to look for people to have a good time with?
I mean, I guess bars and clubs.
Okay. Do you feel like the campus environment is conducive to the kind of relationship you want?
Definitely not. I think being in Miami and then also being in college makes it really hard. Like, people who come to Miami, you know, if they are in a relationship, then they're not really serious. I know a lot of people who cheat on their girlfriends or even boyfriends. So, I mean, people are going out to clubs and bars, and you can't take your girlfriend or boyfriend out in that kind of environment, and you can't really find someone who's willing to commit either.
In your own words, based off of your experiences and everything else, how do you define being with someone?
I would say not being selfish anymore, truly caring about the other person's interest, you know, making sure that they're okay, they're on the same page, and communicating your feelings with them. Like, actually calling them up and keeping in touch, being consistent, and having good communication.
What do you think how do you think the dynamic changes between a guy and a girl when they're together? Like, what do you think is different in the way a guy and girl speak to one another, act with one another?
Having that security, not really having to second guess anything. You know, I feel like if I have to second guess something and I ask them what's going on and I don't get a straight answer, then clearly we're not on the same page and it's not working out. They're not worth my time.
Have you ever had an experience or a fantasy or thought about the same sex?
Never an experience. I wouldn't really say fantasy, but I feel like I can be turned on by another woman.
Elaborate for me.
Okay. Well, I guess when it comes to like watching porn or something, I'm not really turned on by a man. You know, I couldn't see myself ever being with a woman, but I think it's kind of easier for me to identify with a woman and be a little bit more turned on by like a woman's features. But it doesn't really transition. Like, that's just, I don't really know how to put it. Like,
when you say identify, like, you mean an emotional connection?
Yeah, I think so. And also because it is kind of hard for me to get off in sex, and I feel like in porn it's just like theatrical, you know. It's kind of like, I feel like I am turned on because that's, you know, I want to be feeling what they're feeling.
Okay. Do you think that the hetero model of a masculine man and a girly girl dictates the relationship styles that you look to have and for the qualities that you look for in men? You know, those gender roles.
yeah, I think that it really, it depends on your background. Like, I don't think I would have said that 4 years ago, you know, like and I wouldn't really say that now either, but okay, so I'll explain. So I want a man I want to feel secure with a man. I want to feel like he's like always making sure that, like, you know, that I'm okay, or like if he sees that I'm not okay, then he asks me like, what's up. And I guess I want that financial stability, but I never want to have to rely on someone. I want to make sure that we're both kind of on the same page. You know, I would never put myself down. Like my mom has told me in the past, like, in order to get a man, you kind of need to dumb yourself down, that they'll be intimidated by a powerful woman, but I would never do that. You know, if he can't accept me for who I am, then he's not worth my time. But I think that like our society's definitely come a long way, that yeah, some men are uncomfortable with their spouse making more money than they do, but I feel like that doesn't really apply. It's more common to find a man that's okay with that.
How do you think this experience is for the gay and bisexual community about dating and establishing romantic relationships?
I think it's definitely a lot more difficult for them. I mean, maybe in Miami, since it's a bigger city, it's a lot easier for like a homosexual or lesbian to a gay man or lesbian find someone. But I think that it's definitely, at least like in what I've seen with friends, that it's a lot more like casual hookups. I think it makes it more difficult because, you know, there isn't that form of commitment. Like, not necessarily I'm looking to settle down and get married right away, but I have the option to. Like, I feel like with like the homosexual community, they need to always be like constantly working harder at a relationship, because there's not that security of, oh, we're gonna settle down now, you know, like we're married, so we don't have to work as hard at our relationship anymore because I have this like invisible security.
Mm-hmm. What about on campus in a college environment? Do you notice any, if it's easier or harder?
I think definitely harder. I mean, at least the gays that I know, they're not hooking up as often as straight people that I know. You know, one of my gay friends is still a virgin, has never done anything with a man, just recently like, kissed a man. So, I mean, of course there are exceptions, but I think that definitely has something to do with it.
What do you think it's like just being a college student in general and trying to find someone that you can have a relationship with, especially since they tell us college are the 4 years where you can meet your husband or your wife?
I think that college in general, like maybe not everyone's looking to commit and everyone's just, you know, it's a lot more casual, looking to have a good time, but I think being in Miami makes it a lot harder. You know, like I see people at other universities who have been able to, you know, date people, have relationships. Most of my friends, you know, probably have only had like 2 or 3 dates in the past 4 years. And I mean, I've only had like 1 date in the past year.
So being in a city
like
environment
isn't common
okay.
for university students in general.
Okay, so, but do you feel like if we weren't in Miami, then it would be easier, or you still see some issues with being a college student?
I still see issues, but I think it would be a lot easier.
Now let's just move on to some fun questions. What is your favorite sex position?
Doggy style.
What would be your ideal date?
I'm a pretty laid back person, so I don't really like anything extravagant. You know, I wouldn't really want to go to like a fancy restaurant or something where I feel uncomfortable. You know, like I want to be in a very like laid back environment, like going out to like have a beer and like, you know, like casual dinner, like burgers or something like that, where I can just kind of be myself.
What would be a crazy story from either past relationships or past dating experiences?
Or sexual?
Sure.
Okay. Let's switch it up. So last semester, a close friend and I two close friends and I experimented. So never before had I seen any of them in that light. And I still don't see my girlfriend in that light, but it just kind of happened. Like, there was a lot of alcohol involved. Like, we're very comfortable about talking about our sexual experiences with one another. So, I mean, it was a weekend where we were just, we were over at my house, like, spending a lot of time together, and we were really drunk, and it just kind of happened. My one of my guy friends, he was just like, okay, so, I mean, would you guys be down for this? Would you guys be interested? And me being really uncomfortable and drunk and a little curious too, I was just like, okay, why not? And so I guess I'll call it a threesome for lack of a better word, but my girlfriend and I both did things to this guy and we didn't really kiss or anything like that, but just would have never seen it coming. But in that college environment, I felt comfortable experimenting. It's my senior year. Whatever.
So please state your age, your name, where you're from, your year in college, your marital status, and your sexuality.
Alright, 22. Year, what else was it? I'm senior. I'm from Lindale, Texas. I'm single. And I'm straight. I'm Jenny.
Now, when it comes to finding someone, whether it be a romantic partner or not, what are the basic qualities you look for?
Someone who challenges me. Granted, I mean, if any of my friends I'm not really looking for anything. So, I've already thought about it, obviously. What I don't like is people who disagree with me no matter what and go along. That pisses me off. It needs to be someone who, will tell me no, who will challenge me intellectually, because I don't like to be on a higher level. I like to be on equal platforms. And somebody who isn't overly emotional, and someone that can balance me out and put up with me. I'm a very frustrating and difficult person to live with. So anybody that can put up with that and not be too sensitive to my emotions.
What about anything physical?
Smiling. They can laugh and they can make me laugh. That's pretty much. There's definitely always the physical aspect of men. I might serve typical men, muscles and blue eyes and a gorgeous smile, but sometimes that just kind of makes someone completely
How do you go about finding guys? What places do you look?
bars.
Do you find the guys that you just described to me there?
The stereotypical ones, yeah. The ones that you want to have a one-night thing with or anything like that, yeah. Because at this point in my life, I'm not looking at anything. I will say I have found someone that was very close for a while that I met for a friend.
So you feel like
I think sometimes your friends know you know.
for serious, more
Yeah, probably not
relationships.
first. Probably not.
Okay. Do you think that our campus environment is conducive to the relationship
No.
you want?
It's not. I've done the whole serious relationship here, and it resulted in we're living in the dorms, and it resulted on being cheated on and being fucked with. I don't know if that's okay.
No, it's fine. Everything's
Just being with this city is not one that's conducive to any type of permanence. Like you and I have discussed before, it sucks your soul out and it's exhausting. There's no real connections here because everybody's moving around so much. Everybody's just continually going on through their whole life, and everybody cares for themselves here, including me. It's one man for himself, and fuck it if you're somebody else. People are gonna do what they want to do, and it's not really a permanent type place.
So you really do think the city impacts our college situation?
Absolutely.
In your own words, based off of your experiences, what do you think it means to be with someone?
It means being with someone. Being happy with another person. Being, like, not even a relationship. Like, or, you know, the society's labeling of a relationship. Because I feel once you put that label on it, everything changes. And everything goes from maybe it wasn't as pressured before to, like, be together all the time. Or to, you know, have that, like, say, Bennifer, you know, nickname, you know, everything merges into one once you put a label on it. I think being with somebody is enjoying another person for their company, doing whatever makes y'all happy, but yet keeping your own identities, because I think once you become one person and meld into one, it's just not really worth it. You need to have your own separate thing.
What do you think changes between you and a romantic partner when you cross that being with someone barrier?
Like I said, it changes how everybody perceives you. Whereas maybe, like, before they were like, oh yeah, they're together, but, you know, they're whatever. But once your, like, boyfriend is there, it's like, oh, hey, where's your boyfriend?
Do you guys act differently with each other compared to when you first met?
I feel like maybe sometimes with that stigma of a relationship, it can cause more arguments. Like, you're my boyfriend, you're my girlfriend, you're mine. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's right.
Have you ever had an experience or fantasy about the same sex?
Oh, yeah. And why not? Women are beautiful. Like, they are beautiful creatures, and there's no reason why they can't be attractive to another woman. Granted, that doesn't mean at the end of the day I want to be with one, because I still, at the end of the day, would need a man. Mm-hmm.
So your attraction maybe is on a appreciative, emotional level versus...
It's more appreciative. Like, maybe, like, yeah, you can fantasize about them. Like, yeah, I think they're beautiful. Oh, I can get turned on by seeing a woman naked if she's gorgeous. But she's typically with another man when I see her naked. So,
do you think that the hetero model in our society of a masculine, stereotypical man and a feminine woman dictates your relationship styles and the qualities you look for when you're out there?
I don't know. I think definitely regionally dictates what you look for and what you have. Coming from a small town in Texas, I've been previously engaged. I've also have several of my friends that I grew up with since we were like 8 getting married at 22. And that's not uncommon where I'm from. But moving here has completely changed what I used to think, what I used to be. And I think that regionally, yes, like there's this whole need in Tyler, Texas to find a man, get married, don't be single. Like, I'm actually going back home to be a coach and to be a sports information director at my high school. And the first question that's always going to come up is, oh, so do you have a boyfriend? Like, why does it matter? That doesn't determine who I am, but I think, like, it is such a important thing culturally. Whereas in the North, people maybe focus on education. Where in the South, it's like, yeah, women are there to have babies. Women are there to get married and have a home. And yeah, they can be successful, but ultimately they're taking care of the kids.
Do you see yourself in that role or outside of it?
Outside of it, for sure.
How do you think it is, both on this campus and in our city, for the gay and bi communities to go about the dating and relationship process that you face?
Oh, they're in prime location. Like, right here in Miami, everybody's so accepting, everybody's so, oh, whatever, be who you want to be. Like I said, it's every man for themselves. Now, being said that, I also said that it's hard to have relationships. I've seen it with, like, 2 of my closest gay friends, like Nick and Sebastian. They're together, and they're great, but it's been a struggle for them to be together because there are so many other gays in the area that have this idea that, the hell with relationships. It is a known fact in the gay community, especially now. It's very promiscuous. And I think that places like South Beach and Miami in general kind of are breeding ground for that. Since everything's so acceptable, why settle for one thing? I think it is very difficult to have a serious relationship here, even though it is accepted.
Do you think that trickles down into our campus environment?
Oh yeah. I don't, like, I have many friends here who might be homosexual, but I don't think one of them is in a relationship.
What's it like for you being a full-time college student and everything that comes with it, and then trying to find someone that meets the qualities you're describing? You know, they tell us in this next 4 years you can meet your husband or wife. Do you think that's a realistic?
I think it's realistic for me.
And what just also speak for yourself and in general?
I think in general, people could find living there. Maybe not here, but also, like I said, being from the South, we kind of have a different mentality. What we're looking for, and I've not seen it here. People are not anywhere. They're also New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, all that area. That's not really what I grew up looking for, what I grew up liking in a man. Now, for me, I came to college to be successful, to get a career, to get a 4-year education with 2 degrees and move on and go anywhere. I don't believe that I found the person I'm going to marry at all. I've done a lot of the pseudo dating and serious relationship, and I've just done the hookups. And to be honest, I get a lot more out of just no strings attached hookups that I actually had some pretty good friends back then. I have the tendency to keep the people I sleep with, I keep pretty good contact with them. We're still friends at the end of the day, and try not to affect our relationship with someone
Are you in a sorority?
No.
From an outside perspective, do you feel that it's easier or harder to find relationships within the Greek life?
I think it'd probably be harder, because everybody's kind of stay in that circle and they've dated each other. So there's baggage with anyone you date, but it's so dumb. Sororities hang out with one fraternity typically, and so yeah, they hang out with all of them. But at the end of the day, we have this event with SAE or anything like that, or oh, we love this group, and it's just they stick with that one. So it's kind of incestual, and it comes with a lot of baggage with, oh no, he slept with this girl, or he slept with another girl from another sorority. It's just stupid, to be honest.
Do you think it's less genuine than a relationship you'd find on your own?
Absolutely. Because you're just kind of looking for what's right in front of you. Whereas, relationships kind of come out of nowhere, typically. Like I said, with a friend of a friend, sometimes that they know better for you than
when
anything.
You're not looking.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to switch to some fun questions.
All right.
Anytime you feel uncomfortable, just let me know. What is your favorite sex position?
Oh, I really like being on top. I like the control. I like being there, and I like being able to control that situation, and that's a lot of fun.
Great. Whether it's a celebrity or someone that doesn't exist yet, give me a picture of your dream man.
Wranglers, cowboy boots. It's have a little tight ass that looks really nice in a pair of jeans. Not clean shaven, but also not full on beard, even though I like beards, but a little bit of scruff, kind of rugged, kind of dirty. Maybe a farmer's tan, which I just described the stereotypical Texas cowboy. I love them. And I think part of that's just growing up on a ranch, and I love that. So
that's great. What is a secret vice you have, whether it be in dating, past relationships, or sexual encounters?
Secret vice. I don't know. I feel like I'm one of those really fucked up people who has all kinds of things like that.
Just fetish, even something that makes you stand out. When it comes to...
I love giving head. That's the first thing. I can't wait. I'm just let's get to this. I love giving it. I absolutely love receiving it. It's the best thing ever. It's almost sometimes better than sex for me.
Last question. Whether it be in a relationship in the past, a dating experience in the past, or just a sexual encounter, give me a crazy story. Whether it was a good one, a bad one, Something that stands out in your mind.
I think you probably know which one it is, but I don't know. Maybe sometimes you get tired of striking out, and sometimes you have a friend who's really tired of striking out too. Whereas, like, you never ever would have considered them in a sexual manner at all, and I still don't. He's one of my best friends, and one night in the Grove, we were just like, keep striking out. This is bullshit. He's like, yeah, this bitch turned me down. And I was like, yeah, you wouldn't never have sex with me. You wouldn't fuck me. And he goes, no, I wouldn't. I was like, yeah, I know you wouldn't. You wouldn't even go into that bathroom right now and fuck me. He goes, wait, what? I go, yeah, you wouldn't. Basically, it was a challenge where he goes, fine. And then I was like, oh shit, I didn't think he would. So, stay out of the New York pizza bathroom because I am a senior and have fucked a sophomore in the bathroom. And the next day was probably one of the funniest because I remember waking up at my apartment. And I woke up and I called him and I said, we had sex last night, didn't we? He goes, yeah, whatever. And so then I went over to his house, just hanging out with him. He goes, you know what? I've had sex with you and I still haven't seen your tits. Still haven't seen you naked.
That's great. Do you have any other comments you'd like to add to this whole topic that we've been discussing?
I feel like there's too much of a separation in gender roles. Whereas, like I said, especially coming from where I'm from, men are supposed to be man of the house. Like, who said women can't do that? Like, granted, don't get me wrong. I'm not jaded because my parents were divorced or anything no. My parents have the best relationship I've ever seen. They are incredibly in love. It's almost disgusting. Like, it's hilarious. It's adorable. But, and my mom and dad work as a partnership. But I sometimes think that they got lucky. Like, not everybody has that mentality that you can work as a partnership. And I think that's ideally what it should be, not one man over the other. Like, they need to be equals. They need to be working together. Women can be successful. Women don't have to be in the house all the time. Women can go to work and have their own careers, and men can have theirs too. Maybe sometimes the man wants to be the one that stays at home. There's nothing wrong with that either. As long as they're not being lazy, as long as they're helping out. I think it's a great, sometimes change in roles, but I think that there's too much of a play on gender roles these days, especially. And it's something I say I wish we could overcome it, but I don't see it happening. Even with the feminist movement and everything that's going on, and gays have the right to get married in certain states, but there's still, women's rights are still very behind, I feel like, because there's such this mentality that they're not supposed to be doing something they are. Okay.
At the end of this documentary, I found that there were a lot of things to compare and contrast when it came to both the genders and sexualities and how we all end up really looking for the same things despite our gender roles. I thought it was really interesting that from pretty much every interview, I got the feeling that with our generation, we really are progressive, that when we look out into the world and into who we think we should be and who we should be with each other, it really has changed from what we've learned the past used to be like. A lot of things that I asked were personal and were not something shared with the other interviewers, so I thought it was interesting to discuss a little bit about the differences as well as the similarities. One common theme I noticed was that both the guys and the girls described partners that they were looking for with this expectation that they weren't really that way. I feel like the girls were hoping to find somebody who would be simple and wanted to enjoy their company and connect on a more emotional, personal level. If we look at Steph's interview, she spoke about how her ideal date would be to just go out, something casual like a burger and beer, and hang out with friends. And a lot of the guys talked about wanting a girl who didn't necessarily fit the gender stereotype and would be more willing to try new things. And my impression was that we're not really aware that the opposite sex or the sex we're interested in understands what we're looking for. There's a lot of misconception about how girls and guys really are today. And it was always interesting to hear how girls really want it or how they really expect it to be, and then how guys think that they'd like it and how they wish it could be. And in reality, they really are asking for the same things. And it started making me wonder why we don't find each other. And that leads me to my next theme, which is about college in a city setting like Miami. I really do see that Miami, based on everyone's consensus, is a really tough place to buckle down and be serious. The playground for adult mentality really affects the way we even look at relationships, something temporary, something in transition. And to connect that to the gay community, a lot of people mentioned that they thought it was easier for the gay community to hook up, but to find a relationship it'd be difficult. And even though some people noted that it was a more accepting environment than other places, it seems that with some form of acceptance, you still lose a lot of the things that you hope to gain. Like, if it can't happen for a hetero model, then it sure as hell won't happen for a homosexual model. I thought that was very interesting because you would expect it to be the other way around, that in an accepting environment, anything would go. I thought it was an interesting point to show that what Kate said, it's difficult for anybody, and that it should be not based on your sexual orientation. But as another interviewer noted, there's the legalities of things that really comes into play. Like, we allow society to affect us at least on that level. We think only in terms of what we're allowed to do, and the second we can't do it, it totally affects the steps that we take in developing relationships. I also found it interesting that guys were a lot more receptive to the environment and the kinds of people that they notice in it. I kind of assumed that men would fall into the typical gender stereotype. As a female who's trying to be progressive, I would never assume that a guy would take interest in equalizing the playing field or looking for a woman who would be in a power position. When I interviewed Colin, he talked about his gender class and just how he feels he would love to switch the stereotypes around and be a stay-at-home man if it meant that his wife could be successful. He's just looking for somebody to match him. And I thought that was a really great thing to hear, because on this campus environment, I feel like sometimes you see a lot of disrespect going on. And it's good to hear that people both from outside of Miami as well as Miami natives really do have a new outlook on females and what they're looking for when they're with a woman. Justin mentioned that he was looking for someone who maybe physically wasn't a petite, girly girl, but somebody who's maybe a bit more androgynous in the sense that she likes to exercise and get fit and cut, and that she is willing to step outside of what girls do and what guys do and kind of find a way to just be equal. And I think that's the biggest thing you got out of this whole documentary, is that we really do understand each other a lot better than even I assumed. And what we really would want to look into in the future is why this communication isn't shared. Why do we stop at how we think it is? Why don't we be honest with one another and ask each other these questions, or tell people exactly what we're looking for? Because I feel if people are a lot more in sync than it actually appears, maybe it could change the whole way we relate to each other and to this whole movement that we're trying to achieve, where we're trying to accept that there's more than just a heterosexual model, where maybe you aren't just male or female, maybe you are intersex or trans or queer. There's this whole world that we assume we can't integrate because we just automatically check them off as something different. But then the second you ask the same questions, you see a lot of similarities. And the reason I asked the fun questions was because I wanted people to realize that even on something as simple as your favorite sex position, we are kind of the same, and like our likes are the same, and that's really why we bond with people, because we're all finding something to bond over. The majority of people said that doggy style was their favorite, whether they were a male or female or bi-curious. A lot of people have had fantasies about different or the same sex. something I noted was that everyone described an ideal man or woman that still seemed completely opposite of the qualities they were looking for. So sometimes maybe we get stuck in our ideal and don't even realize that at the end of the day, we don't pick the ideal person, that this picture of perfection is really just a picture, and that we shouldn't be distracted by it. The focus is where our eyes take us. A lot of people seem to have really simple needs and qualities and ideal dates. And when it came to crazy stories, everybody's been out there. Everyone's had that embarrassing moment or that romantic moment. You know, we automatically assume that we either have less or more experience than somebody else, but we really do have the same encounters, and we go through the same heartaches or same embarrassments. And I think that those are the things that we should all focus on finding in one another. I think that's where you'll see the real change. When we stop looking at it about your gender or your sexuality or your social class and just say, like, hey, can I relate to you on my experience? We're really just looking for the experience and people to share it with. I do note some faults in this documentary. Because of the content, the homosexual community I wanted to address didn't feel comfortable being a part of this piece. And I really do think that would have changed the dimension. I also think that it would have been interesting to check into other communities, both gay, straight, and bi, on campus, just to understand how being in Miami plays into the campus role a little bit more. We touched on it, but I feel like people were so overwhelmed by the pressure of Miami that it overshadowed either the positives or negatives we find on campus. Overall, I really think there's a lot that we can learn as long as we just have that face-to-face communication. And I really hope in the future, both myself and anyone who sees this piece will be able to take this and build on top of it. All my best, Dr. Butterman.